We are all full of authentic points of view. Myself alone have at least 22. They come from the things that we have been through. Those things can either make or break you. Life is full of ups and downs. It's our choice to either smile or frown. Please choose to smile today, because it's one thing that's free to give away. People say that life isn't hard, it's what you make of it. But what if only struggles surround you? What can you take from it? Life can be hard and some things aren't fair. Please listen to others just to be aware. All I'm saying, you never know what someone's going through. Just because they look happy doesn't make it true. Hopefully this podcast will help you see you are not alone, you have at least got me. We are more alike than you may know, but if we stay quiet, we will never grow. Don't ever give up, because you got this. If you quit, think of all the opportunities that you could miss. Wow, I am so excited. I just want to say thank you to everyone that listened or watched season 1. Thank you so much. I'm so excited for season 2 premiere right now. So thank you if you just discovered Authentic Points of View right now. Thank you if you've been with me forever. It's only been since June, but seems like forever. No, really, honestly, I never knew that it would go this far or last this long. I didn't know how many people that I would impact, or that the guests and I would impact. I want to say thank you so much for the amazing, amazing guests that have been on the show. I mean, amazing guests, wonderful people making impacts in the world, making just positive changes and helping people, and I'm just really thankful for them. Thank you for sharing your authentic points of view. Thank you for being honest and vulnerable and just open and sharing your life. It is amazing. I thank you for that. I thank you to the listener. You, the listener, yay, or watcher, hello. You still probably should listen if you're watching. Would be helpful. But no, I thank you too, because I could not do this without either of y'all, so country. I couldn't do it without either party, the listener or the guest. So thank you so much. Thank you for being interested in my craziness, my crazy laugh and my crazy everything. And thank you for all the people that have told me, I love your energy. Thank you so much. That means the world to me. Thank you again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean it from the bottom of my heart that I'm so excited for season 2, the changes to come, they will be slow changes, and the differences, hopefully the bigger impact that will make, also the amazing guests that are coming up this season as well, and just the changes that I'm making. My life coaching business will be up and running soon, and I'll start speaking at places as well soon, and I'm being on more podcasts as well. So there's so many different things that I'm doing in my life that I want you to be a part of as well. And you ride on the journey with me. Woohoo! It's going to be fun. No, thank you for real. I really, really, really love y'all. And so all the words in my intro mean the world, right? So that's why I wrote it and I loosely wrapped it, because it's true. So everything pertains to the show. That song might grow or might shorten or whatever, but we'll see how it goes. And it might turn into a real song one day, because like I said, those are the things that I live by. That's what the show's about. Thank you again for being open-minded, open hearts, all open ears, and not being judgmental of some of the things that I have gone through and the guests have gone through. I know so many people are like, oh my gosh, you lived in a shelter. Yeah, okay. It helped me, and it changed my life a lot. And I was in abusive relationships. I was a lot of things. I tolerated a lot, and so that's why I'm on this forgiveness journey and transformation. So there you go. If you want to be part of it, I will start adding my link to my Calendly. So literally you guys can link up with me, and we can do a discovery call and see if I would be the right coach for you. So Thanks again. Thank you for being amazing. Thank you for bearing with me. Some of the episodes were 200 years long, so long. But if you listen to them or watch them, you are the bomb.com. Love ya. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thank you for listening and watching the premiere. Woohoo. I'm so excited. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Authentic Points of View. I'm your host, Danielle Boer. Woohoo. Hey. All right. So I'm so excited about today's guest. We have stuff in common. And I love to talk about things that I have in common with people. And so Elizabeth Correia is a transformational speaker, author, and coach. She's the founder of Correia Enterprise, a woman's platform for personal growth and lifestyle change. Welcome, Elizabeth, to the show.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here.
I am so excited that you're here. Woohoo! I really am. So, all right. Now, we will talk about what we have in common because everybody knows. Like, I love to point it out because when we're from different parts of the world, different backgrounds or whatever, then that's the whole point of me doing this show is to show that, like, we're not really different at all. Like, we all have something in common. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, all right, what was your childhood like?
Oh, gosh. It was, it's funny. My book is called If You Played in My Playground. So I'm like, it was like this playground of so many different emotions and things and, things happening and scenes. And it was, happy moments and then really dark moments. And then inside my home, I grew up in the projects. And inside the house was, outside was abuse and all kinds of, drugs and prostitution and homelessness. And then inside the home, it was also extremely abusive, at home. If I didn't have my siblings, I don't even know how I would have kind of gotten through that. So both parents were alcoholics. Both were extremely abusive. Dad was abusive in every way. And I mean, every way. And mom, I always say, I think for her to find some form of peace or, I don't know what it was, for her, but she found her comfort in a bottle as well. So it was just dark at home, dark in the streets. At the same time, there was a lot of amazing, fun moments with my siblings, with my friends outside of the home. So it was kind of, like I said, like a crazy playground filled with, there was no child's ideal playground, that's for sure. But it was a playground filled with so many different emotions and scenes, and it was extremely chaotic. That's chaotic, confusing. As a little girl, it's like one moment I'm happy, then the next moment I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm hurt. The next moment I'm laughing, and so it was like a roller coaster ride, a museum park. Yeah.
Wow. So I'm so sorry that you went through that, but I'm so grateful for you, like all the stuff you do now from that trauma and the things you experienced, that you're using it for good to help other women, girls, is amazing. So I lived actually as an adult, I feel bad now because my kids lived in public housing for a little teeny bit, and it was such a bad neighborhood that my dad was in the military. He wasn't allowed in there. No military people were allowed in that neighborhood because it was so bad. And it was like a law. It was weird. Yeah. So, and it was like a few miles away from the base, but they were not allowed in. We went to school as a high schooler. I went to school with kids that lived there. But I was like, one day I was coming in and this guy attacked me on the stairs and tried to rape me. I never talk about this, but and it was the neighbor's cousin, and he was like drunk and high, and she wouldn't let him in the apartment. So I was like kicking and screaming, and finally thank goodness he was drunk and high, because he wasn't with it enough to be strong. Like he was, yeah. And so like I kicked him. I don't know if I kicked him in the face. I don't remember, but I got into my place. Well, I was we will talk about this, but I was in an abusive relationship with my son's father. And so he was so drunk himself that he didn't hear me, and I was screaming for help and he didn't hear me. And then even when I got in there, he was so knocked out that he didn't even realize what I was talking about. So he couldn't protect me and nothing. So the next day I said something to the neighbor and she laughed because I'm white. And so lots of my neighbors weren't white, and she thought it was just funny. And I'm like, it's not funny. Thank goodness he didn't do anything, but it scared me. And so after that, we moved. Like shortly after, I found a place that that wasn't public housing, and it really
Yeah.
motivated me to get out of that situation. And so my kids were very little, thank goodness, and they don't remember any of this stuff. But yeah, so
Whoa.
that's it's hard to hear it from your perspective. Of course, I wasn't an alcoholic or anything, but he was. And so to hear
Yeah.
it from your perspective, being the kid, makes me feel bad for my kids. But again, they were very little
Yeah.
and they don't remember anything. And
Right.
it wasn't like they were playing with anyone, literally. Like they were just like in the house. Like I would take them, in and out. Like when I went to work, would go somewhere and then we would come back. So it's not like,
Yeah.
no offense. I mean, there's a lot of great kids and stuff, but that was a grown adult that attacked me. So that's no excuse.
Yeah.
But anyway.
And what's interesting is that I always say, like, usually, 99.5% of the time, everything happens for a reason.
Oh yeah.
And had that not happened, you might have stayed a little longer.
Yeah.
You're
right.
Yeah.
You kind of get like, complacent. Like you just kind of like, yeah. Right. So you just deal with it and you're like, well, okay. Cause I think I was paying like, I don't even know, $50 a month. I don't even know what I was paying.
Exactly.
But yeah, so it's like, oh wow, look at this.
Yes.
And I always worked, so it wasn't like I didn't work. But Maryland's very expensive, very expensive. I don't know if you know anything about Maryland, but oh my gosh, it's so expensive. Even back then, it was extremely expensive to live. So, but anyway, yeah, things do happen for a reason, and we're going to talk about a little bit of other things we have in common shortly too. But okay, so when you were dating your son's father, what are the lessons that you learned?
I mean, at the time, I was so young. I met him when I was 14.
Oh.
So, yeah, and dated him right throughout my teens to my, I was about 2021 when I broke up with him. At the time, I didn't see them as lessons.
Right.
At the time, I was, stubborn. I wanted what I wanted, and that was it. Even though I knew this person wasn't good for me, I didn't really know what that really meant. It was like, well, he was a lot like my father, which usually, funny enough, tends to happen. But I didn't know there were lessons. I didn't know that this would be a part of even my purpose or my calling, and it was. But now looking back and, along my healing journey years ago, I think the lesson in that was that I attracted him. We attracted one another because we were both broken. So I believe there was no way I was going to attract someone who was whole and complete and healthy and, got his stuff together. Because that's not who I was. That wasn't a lifestyle I lived. So I met him right where I was at. So we were just two broken people together. We were just a mess. So the lesson that I've learned is that if you want to be in a healthy relationship and that is your desire, you want to meet somebody who is a good fit for where you are, someone, with purpose, you're going to be together and serve a purpose and do whatever it is you're supposed to do here together, support one another, make each other better, then you really have to do that work within yourself first. Because I do believe that we attract not all of what we are, but there are bits and pieces of the people that we attract. There are little bits and pieces in them that we have within ourselves. So I think for me, it's like you don't really know truly, is this person healthy, mentally, emotionally, right? Is this a healthy person? Is this healthy for me? Well, if that's what we desire, then we ourselves have to become healthy mentally, emotionally before we engage in a relationship. Otherwise, we're just going to attract our mess kind of thing, And sometimes it's mess that we don't even know is there.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
So
wow.
That was a lesson. It's to just do the work on yourself before you get out and start dating. Really, really do that work. Yeah.
Wow. That was so deep. I didn't that was really good. Yeah. So that's 100% true. Right. So they say like, oh boy, like if you want somebody, you can't find somebody to love you if you don't love yourself. That's an important lesson. And that's something that I, have learned and I'm working on myself. And woohoo, whoa, that was deep. So yes.
Yeah. And it sounds so, we usually do hear it like that. And it can sound cliche, but it's so deep, and there's just so much truth to
Right.
it. It really is really deep. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because that's like you said, I it's just eye opening. So, people like mask who they are. Sometimes there's a
Oh,
lot of manipulation or like, yes, right. There we go. It's absolutely true.
that's a
You,
whole other session
I
here.
just got goosebumps because
Yeah.
it is so true. So,
Oh,
be careful. I'm just telling all y'all because be careful who you tell your business to, because they will use that and they will flip it and they will act
yeah.
like they're the hero and they're going to come rescue you, and in turn they could be worse than the other person. And I
That
got
is
goosebumps
actually,
again.
so me too. That is actually what I call the narcissistic
Oh yes,
behavior.
absolutely.
And there's male and
Absolutely.
female, and it's
Oh yeah.
real. And
Yep.
it's real. It's really real. I experienced it. I'd never experienced, dating a narcissist or being
Hmm.
involved with a narcissist. I experienced it. I actually do believe it's something that my father, my parents kind of struggled with as well, because it is a
Hmm.
mental illness.
Oh yeah.
And I've never dated somebody with that illness. And then let me tell you, I would hear my friends and people speak about it, share stories, their personal experience. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like, how did you even get involved? How did you not see the red flags? How did you, but the masking is real.
Yep.
The way they mask,
Absolutely.
it is so real and
Yep.
scary. It's actually really scary. It's like an acting, like they're constantly auditioning for a role.
Yeah. Right.
And it's so scary. And if you see that, run for the hills.
Yeah, the hard part is, this is the sad part, is that you don't see it for months in. Like, they know how they might trickle. It happened to me. My one
Oh,
son's father, absolutely. Like, so
okay.
we all grew up together, and he knew how my other son's father was. And my other son's father was like abusive, but not 100% abusive. Like, he would throw
And
stuff
he
at me.
used
He would do
that.
this. Yeah, he used it. And so
Oh,
he
yeah.
would be like, I can't believe he treated you like that. I'm going to treat you better. And I already knew about this guy. For goodness sake, he was in and out of jail as a teenager. What the heck was I thinking? I don't know. But I love my son. So I've got a beautiful son from it, But
Yes.
so he used that stuff to rope me in, per se. And then you don't realize it. Like, a little things might
No.
trickle in. Like she said, look at red flags, but they're not going to show you everything until
Yeah.
you really trust them. And then
Mm.
little things will start to come out:
Yeah.
controlling behavior,
Oh,
lying,
oh.
just everything, right? Then
The
the abuse.
controlling is real. It
Yes.
is, they are obsessed in a very sick way that
Yeah.
I will never understand. Obsessed with
Yeah.
control. They are obsessed with control. They, I had this lady said to me, I went to this networking event not too long ago, a couple of months, and she said, she said, the narcissist has one mission. This was so deep. I was like, they are out to steal your soul.
Oh.
And I was like, oh my
Oh my
gosh, that
gosh.
sounds really scary. She's like,
It is.
that's their only mission. It's, that's their goal. That is what they want. That's full control of who you are. They want you to themselves. If they could, there was this documentary that I watched on Netflix not too long ago. It was that very successful restaurant owner in New York. And she started dating this guy who completely he was a narcissist, and he literally took her away. Literally, like, if they could take you, run away with you to a country where no one has access to you, and they have you all to themselves. They can do whatever they want. They can say, and I'm talking, take you away from your kids, your family, your everything.
Yep.
That is their mission, to steal your soul. And when your soul is gone, you are dead. You're dead, right? So now I will say this, Danielle. I do believe most of us as women see the signs in the beginning. I know for me, 2 weeks in, I saw.
Oh,
it was
wow.
clear. It was clear to me. I was like, this is not a good person. But you get so caught up, the same lady also said, a narcissist is one thing. A narcissist with money is a whole other ball game. It's like another world. It's like a deeper realm you're going into the world of narcissism. Mm-hmm. And that was the way this person kind of wrote me in. Like you said, you used the word rope you in, the gifts and the traveling and this and that. And, but all along from the beginning, I knew this wasn't a good person. but
Aw.
I kept entertaining, and it was like, whatever. And it was a dangerous game that I was playing.
Yeah. I think with me, like, I knew he, because he was in and out. Like, I knew he wasn't that great, but for some reason, I don't know. And so with, it's just like, I didn't realize how bad it could be and how bad it could get. And it's bad. I mean, I tried to get away from him for so long, and then he turned like family against me and all that stuff. And it was as women, I think we try to fix people and fix things, and that's what it was.
You?
Yeah. So,
see what I mean?
Yeah, but I played a part in that. So I lied to my mom. I lied to my mom that I wasn't I like made up a whole fake name, which is that's a red sign or a red flag right there. Like, because she didn't like him because he was friends with my brother and they got in trouble together. So this is, So, boy. Anyway,
all the flags are there from the beginning. That's
yeah,
what
I just didn't
saying.
pay attention. Yeah, you're right. So, okay. So, you got into a relationship. Were you talking about with the narcissism? Is it the one that when you ended up in the homeless shelter, is that the person or is that the son's father?
No. That was my former husband. No, he's so far from the narcissist. No.
Okay.
He's a sweet soul.
Aw. So when you started living in a homeless shelter, how did that change your mindset?
Oh gosh. Can I tell you, my greatest blessings came from those 2 months I lived in that shelter. I finished writing this book in the homeless shelter. I finished writing the last 12 chapters of this book while living in the homeless shelter. This photo shoot, that was like the bad girl. That was like the baddie, the bad girl is. That was like a broken woman right there. But this photo shoot was done while I was living in the shelter. My book photo shoot was done in the shelter.
Wow.
I also launched my business that I do today in the women's shelter.
Wow.
So just before getting to the women's shelter, I had been planning, I got this idea to start a women's empowerment speaking business. And I was going to do special events for women, workshops, conferences, and so on. And I registered the business about 2 weeks prior to going to the women's shelter. And I went and gave a deposit to this hotel venue to have my business launch. I was going to have my first women's conference business launch. And then this happened. It was like out of the blue. What happened? And I ended up in a shelter with my 1-year-old and my then 17-year-old. And I thought, I can't do this event. I'm in a shelter. And anyways, make a long story short, I didn't give up on the idea. For 2 months, I worked on this event. I had over 230 women at the event.
Wow.
Yes. It was the most incredible experience. Just a few years later, I started speaking at running workshops at this shelter. And I continued for years to run workshops. They carried my book in the shelter. Like, it was such a blessing. And the lesson that came from that was, when we are going through it, when you're going through something, we have more power within us to get up and fight than we do when we're just not going through anything, when we're just cruising through life. My greatest accomplishments and breakthroughs and milestones happened while going through something major, like a crisis pretty much in my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, okay, what we have in common. So I lived in a homeless shelter when I was pregnant with my second son, and my oldest one was like 1. And so I talk about how amazing the women were. And so they taught me so much. I became friends with people that literally were going through so much worse than I was. And I was like, oh my gosh. And one lady shared with me, I'm trying not to cry. She was not nice. Like, that's what we thought of her, which is, you don't judge people. That's why I talk about that on this show. She wouldn't talk to people, and she was just would just look at you and stuff. And then one night she shared with me, our rooms were across from each other. And she shared with me that her fiance, whatever he was at the time, killed her one daughter. And so she had a little girl with her. He killed her baby. I think she was like maybe 6-7 months old. And she started showing me pictures of her and all this stuff. Gosh. And so she just sat there and talked to me. and I lost it. And I felt so bad. I wanted to be strong for her, and I just couldn't. I just kept crying and crying. And it was so hard. And I'm like, I thought, I didn't tell anybody her business, but I thought, like, anytime they talked about her, I'd be like, you don't have a clue, just be quiet. Like, nobody knows what you're going through. And that's I actually wrapped the intro to this podcast, and that's what I talk about. I talk about a lot of stuff in that 1 minute intro, but I say, like, you never know what someone's going through. Just because they look happy doesn't make it true. Because it's true. Like, you never know what someone's going through.
You don't know what they're going through. Yes.
Right. And so she, it was so hard. And then I had another friend that was actual, prostitute, and she still talked to her pimp. She left the situation. She was in the shelter, and she was still talking to him on the phone. And I'm like, okay.
You see that a lot.
And he was so narcissistic. Oh my gosh. She told me, like, I'm going to turn you into a trick and all this stuff. And I was like, no, sir. Thank you. Have a nice day. And never have done that. And I'm not knocking anybody that does it, because we're all, you never know, again, what you would do in certain situations. So I'm never judging anybody that does it, because she was really awesome. She was my friend. But the thing is, like, no, it's not for me. And then another lady she met Oprah when she was little, which is so cool. They did a story when Oprah was a Baltimore news reporter, and she had to go to the methadone clinic every day because she was on drugs. And she was the nicest lady. She was the best cook. She used to cook for us, but she was going through something. And so we were all going through stuff, but that taught me to have empathy, to just love people, like, just be there for them. And they were just amazing. So, wow. So that's something we have in common. Now, I was only 20 at the time, so I still went through a lot after that. I like, not like you, that, you made your breakthrough through there. I learned a lot, but then I went back to the same guy. So that wasn't, again, ladies,
okay.
It's just like, I just went back because the baby, once he was born, and the dad got out of prison, and whatever, the family tricked me. I wasn't going to talk to him. They tricked me, and I didn't know he got out of prison. They asked me to bring the baby over, and I did. And he came down the stairs, and I was like, ugh. And so, I don't know. Anyway, so, now but I mean, I'm so thankful that I was in the shelter. I'm so thankful for the situations. I'm thankful that because I'm starting forgiveness life coaching and transformation life coach. I've gotten the certificate for forgiveness, but I started speaking as well. So I'm doing a lot of things that you're doing, which is awesome.
I don't know if did I share my forgiveness course with you?
No. I took it.
Share with you.
Okay. Thank you. So I took it through Transformation Academy. I don't know if you've heard of them, but I really love it. It was it's a good program.
You should actually do what I'm going to send to you. It's a 9-day course.
And
you should actually do something similar to this.
Oh, thank you. Oh, yes. Awesome. I would love to. I'm just starting my business. I'm just starting, like, getting into it. But I love, like, helping people as well. So I'm very excited. But back to you, ma'am. No. So was it difficult to break the cycle of living in an abusive environment?
It was, because it was all I knew. So I was born into it. It was literally all I knew. I didn't know a world where that didn't exist, so it was normal for me. When I got involved with my son's father at the time at 14, there was nothing abnormal about him to me. He was doing what my father did to my mother. Oh. So that's all I knew. He was speaking to me the way my father spoke to my mother every day, calling her names and degrading her, disrespecting her every day, beating on her. That's all I knew. When you have a child, and the reason why I wrote this book, the main reason was to create awareness around the effects of abuse. What happens to a child who grows up into adulthood with that shame, with those stories, with that pain, with that hurt? Well, I was a perfect example of what happens. That child 99% of the time becomes a product of that at some point in their life. And usually it's the teens and 20s. Yeah. So, what I can say to that is because it was all I knew, and I didn't know any different. I saw it with family members. I saw the abuse with family members, even if it was just verbal. It was just, it was what I knew in the house and what I knew outside of the house. So really when things started to change for me and I realized that I was making choices, I didn't become an at-risk teenager at 14. What happened at 14 was a result of what I had been living my entire life up until that point. So it wasn't until I was in my early 20s that I realized how broken I was. And I knew that if I did not get help, and this happened after my boyfriend at the time was murdered in front of me and died in my arms. So, and that was, I was 21 at that time. And it was that made me wake up in a sense. Although things got worse before they got better for a short time, I realized in that moment that if I did not seek help, talk to somebody, do something about this, the way I was living and my environment, then I probably wouldn't make it to see 25, 30. So it was definitely a process that I had to be patient with. Like I realized going through my healing journey that I didn't have any patience because I wanted everything to change now, but I wasn't doing the work that I had to do for it to change now. So I was kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out, lukewarm. I want change. I want transformation. I want healing, but I kind of still want to hang out with these people and I still want to do this and I still want to do that. So it took a while for me to completely detach from that world and really embark on this healing journey in every way, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, which was a huge one for me, huge one. And if it wasn't for at the time, my spiritual mom, which is what I call her, who I started going to church with, I don't even know what that journey would have looked like, because I say, and it's at the back of my book too, that I was saved in the eyes of the church because I really was. It was the first place I ever felt safe. Oh. It was the first place I ever shared my story. It was the first place I ever opened up. It was also the very first place that I stood up and spoke in front of 2,000 people. And that seed that she planted in me, asking me to share my story in front of everyone, which I was terrified to do, was a seed that I am now, I'm now experiencing and witnessing the fruits of that seed. Because that was the moment where I realized I wanted to work with young girls and youth. I wanted to share my story in hopes of helping them. I wanted to inspire them and I just knew I wanted to work with them. I didn't know what it was going to look like. I had no idea what this was going to look like. I just knew that in that moment of sharing and then what happened after with like 40 of them lined up, one behind another, each, to speak to me. Aww. And I was like, oh, well, what do they want to talk to me about? And it was that day. So I was that's my story. I was definitely saved in the eyes of the church for sure. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. First of all, I'm sorry for your loss. That is so traumatic. Mm-hmm. I'm so sorry that you went through that. Oh boy. I witnessed my brother commit suicide via the telephone. And so I can only imagine if somebody was shot and killed in your arms. Oh my gosh.
He was stabbed and killed, but wow, you committed suicide?
Yeah.
So brother?
This is why I actually just spoke about it in front of people too. I auditioned for a contest and I'm going to audition again on the 19th because I didn't make it. But, I talked about it in front of people. And so when I said it, I saw her response and I started crying hysterically. Cause when I practiced my speech, we only got 1 minute to audition. Nobody was looking back at me. I'm in the car, or if I talked to someone about it, it's somebody that already knew. And so, yeah, but, my mom called me to stop him from doing it. And then unfortunately that's not what happened. But, so it's been 12 years. So I'm just now kind of out of respect of my parents. He has a 16-year-old. She was 3.5 when he passed. So now I'm just now talking about it. And, but anyway, so yeah, so I can't imagine, boy, my mother was there and that's and it's her kid, and yeah, it's just,
Oh
it's
gosh.
hard
Yeah.
to,
Oh,
yeah.
that's like,
So,
yeah, a parent's worst nightmare, much less to,
yeah,
you witnessed your child take their own life. That's like,
yeah,
I can't even imagine. I can't even
yeah,
imagine.
yeah.
Oh,
It's been a journey, and I hope that I can help her. I know it's going to be hard to work
mm,
with your own family, but her and I haven't had the best relationship even before this.
mm.
But I moved to Georgia, and she's here. I moved to Georgia because of her. So
You're in
I really,
Atlanta?
yeah, Atlanta area.
Oh, I was just there.
Um oh wow, awesome.
Yeah.
So I love this area, but so I really want to help her because she's so, even though it's been 12 years and she was kind of like this before, she's so angry and bitter, and everything is so negative, and it's just
Mm,
not good to live like that. Like, you can't live like that forever. Like, it's going to
no,
take you, you can't just like, you can't be successful, you can't be happy, you can't be anything because you're just living in the
no.
darkness, like you said,
And
the darkness. So
yeah, yeah.
but anyway, so sorry. I always talk about myself.
No,
When you wrote the book, was that before your brain tumor or after?
that was before. It was,
Wow.
so yeah, the book was already written. And I wrote the rest of it while living in the shelter. And when the brain tumor happened, which was out of the blue, I didn't even know I had it. Um,
Wow.
it was waking up from that brain. So I was basically, the book was already written, and I was still somewhat afraid and ashamed to kind of publish it. I was holding on to things, I was like, oh, I don't want people to judge my father because I have forgiven him, and my mom because I've
Yeah.
forgiven her. I don't want, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll wait. I kept saying, maybe I'll wait until my dad passes away, and then I'll put it
Oh,
out there. And then uh, the brain surgery happened, which was about a year after I finished writing the book. And I woke up from that surgery knowing that I almost died. And I said to my
wow.
sister, I'm going to publish the book, because had I died, no one would have known my true story, my real story. And
Wow.
I knew that the book was going to help thousands of girls and women, victims, survivors. And I knew that I had to publish it. It was just, I knew waking up from that surgery that was it. Like, and I had my book launch 4 months after my brain surgery. It was huge. It was such a big event. It was beautiful. Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah. It got like a lot of media
Wow.
attention, and not only the my childhood story, but also the brain surgery. So yeah.
What? What?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow,
kind of, it
Elizabeth.
took that for me to come out, really. It took the brain
Goodness.
surgery. Yeah. For me to just, it kind of erased the shame and whatever, the doubts and whatever I was having about publishing the book. I woke up from that surgery, and I was like, no, this is going to happen. And the book gave birth to my speaking business.
Yay.
So it was kind of, it had to happen. It was my calling. It was my purpose. And the brain surgery was a part of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shnikes. You are so tough and amazing. And
Oh, thank you.
I'm so proud of you because we have choices. Okay. So we can
Yeah.
say, woe is me. Look at all you've been through. Oh my goodness. And you can just sit in it and pity, right? Or
Yeah.
you can take that, the hurt, the pain, the shame, the everything that you had, and you can literally flip it and help other people.
Change
You are
the world
teaching.
with it.
You can absolutely. And so that is so amazing. That's part of the contest, was it's the power of speaking. And it was a speaking contest, honestly. They're trying to make it into a
Oh,
show. So,
okay.
but it's so amazing to hear. I heard so many people's stories, like just practicing with them or the people in my group, that it's so touching, and it's so amazing that almost all of them, and there was like 500 of us, I can't remember, are using our past traumas or whatever to help other people. And it was such a beautiful
Mm.
thing to see. But the fact that oh yeah, you're so resilient, and you just bounce back, and you're like, whatever. Now I'm going to help, now it's going to push me to
That's
do more.
kind of my
And
attitude for real.
goodness, see, I can tell.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you. So your speaking company, is that the same name? Like, what is your speaking company name, or is it
So
all under the umbrella?
yeah, so
Go ahead.
everything is under Correia Enterprise. Now, I have a coaching program that I do run called She Speaks,
Hmm.
and it is for new and aspiring female speakers. So
Awesome.
yeah, that has a name of its own because it's a program of its own. But everything is under Correia Enterprise, kind of like just the umbrella. Yeah.
Wow. So, okay. Now, roughly how many ladies or women do you think that you have helped since you started, either being coaching or the speaking or whatever you have
Oh
done,
gosh,
mentoring or,
hundreds of thousands.
wow,
Hundreds of thousands. I think I
that's
get
so
a
amazing.
message, as I told you, my Instagram and my Facebook actually got hacked, which was
Oh,
there's worse things that happen in the world. It was devastating for me because I spent 8 years building my brand on Instagram organically. And I had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of IGTVs and videos and reels. And
oh,
so, yeah, but I every day I would get a DM every day. Like, you know, just people who were in the audience of where I spoke. I'm talking about messages from youth, from young girls, from, girls who I spoke to when they were 14 and now they're, 25 or 23, and messages from women, just it's constant. So I would say hundreds of thousands and globally. So not just in
wow.
Canada, globally. Mm-hmm.
Ah,
And
that's so awesome.
I say that with complete humility.
Of course. Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
We
I'm
can
so
feel it. Don't
grateful.
worry. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't think you're bragging. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And,
No, no.
and
Sometimes
I
it's
asked
good
you.
to,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's good. It's good to be proud of yourself.
Yes.
And that's a
Yeah.
hard thing though.
I
I
was
feel
just going to
like,
say we don't do it enough. We
right.
don't do it
Absolutely.
enough. Yeah. Like
Yes.
just saying that, just sharing that it felt really good to say that. But I don't go
Yeah.
around it's like I have helped, no, it's like, but it's so good to like acknowledge that because that's huge. The fact that
Yes.
that is my legacy. It really is, you know? And I never look at the numbers, but it feels good to know that I have inspired so many people in the world. Yeah.
It is. It's so important. For you though, it's important for you to know that, and it's not like like we said, you're not being cocky, braggy, whatever, like, ooh, look at me. But it's something for yourself to be proud of, because also it motivates you to keep going and to see the impact that you've had on people. It's a beautiful thing. That's why you do it, right? So
Yeah.
it's good to reflect on it and to say that. I mean, it, I can't wait till I get to that point myself, because I'll just feel like it's just like a sense of accomplishment, because when we all, I know, like as a young person, I'm not young anymore, but I'm 40, but when you're young,
Hey,
you're
we're
like,
still very young.
when
Uh-huh.
you're, when you're young, you're like, what's your purpose, or what is my,
Yeah.
like, what am I
Yes.
supposed to do in life? And so
Hmm.
it's so amazing when people do find their purpose and they're actually acting on it. It's
Yeah.
it's very humbling, because it shows that you are selfless. That's why you're doing this. You're not doing it
Mm.
to be able to come on here and say, yeah, I've helped a million people. But you're
Yeah.
here to show, you're really literally giving advice right now, in steps of, you're helping people right now as we're speaking.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very proud of you. So don't ever feel
Thank
like you're just
you.
being bright. Of course. You're welcome. So what are some of the goals that you and the ladies set when you coach them? Like, what's like one of the main goals?
So, one of the main goals for me when I'm working with women, whether it's in a group setting, a one-to-one, session, or even in an audience when I'm speaking, is health. That should be number one for every single human being. If you are old enough to be aware of what you're putting into your body and how you're taking care of yourself, meaning, obviously little children, they just want to eat candy. But
Yeah.
if you're old enough to know, okay, this isn't good, or I need to move my body, or I need to exercise, or I need to meditate, or I need to read more. When I say health, I'm talking personal development, personal growth, your body wellness, kind of all of it in one. That is the number one goal for me when I'm working with anyone, or speaking to anyone in an audience or in a group setting or a workshop setting. It's your health. And I say that because it's what I had to do in my life. I had to really take a look at, some of my habits, whether it was eating habits or just the lack of moving my body, or, things started to really shift for me. I started to experience a lot of personal success when I started taking care of my body. And unfortunately for me, that came, or fortunately, I don't know which one, came after brain surgery. That was when I really started taking care of myself. So I would say the number one thing that is most important for me is the physical mastery and mental mastery as well. But I think physical is like the foundation, is having a routine, a self-care routine, because otherwise you're just not going to make it energy wise. You're going to feel depleted. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to be annoyed by people's triggers are going to trigger your triggers, kind of thing,
Yeah.
so you're going to be in constant, I don't even know the word, but it's so important for us to be healthy, or at least on the journey to becoming or being healthy while we're serving. Too many people are out there serving, and their cup is just so empty because they're just pouring out, leaving themselves feeling just empty, So fill your own cup, and as you are filling your cup with self-care and self-love and eating right and, reading and studying and really just working on yourself as you're filling up that cup, it's kind of, whatever pours over is for the world, is for the work that you're doing. They get all the benefits of how you're taking care of yourself. So if we don't do that, we're just out here, leading while bleeding.
Ooh.
Yeah. Versus leading while healing.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, I think you're directly talking to me. So
hey,
I needed to hear that. Yeah, no, I needed to hear that because that's the truth. Like, because I want to help so many people, but even as a nurse, I help so many people, but I do need to take better care.
Nurses do it the most.
We're bad.
Oh my gosh. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with nurses who just, they are like, imagine a world without nurses. Like I can't, oh my goodness. Even with my experience with brain surgery, like my nurses loved me back to life. Like I tell everyone, my experience, my time in the hospital was it was a heavenly experience. The nurses, the way they took care of me and cried with me, and oh my gosh, it was just so beautiful. So, I know that nurses tend to take care of everyone else, but put themselves on the back burner a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. But that's something I need to, so you were talking to me. Thank you.
Yeah.
I do need to work on that because you're right. Like, again, just like we said, if you don't love yourself, then how can you help others? But it's just the same thing. Like I need to take care of my health a lot better than I do, and pay attention to things that are like signs, again, just like not other people's signs, but internally of what's going on, because your body it warns you. So
it does.
It does. Okay. So what do you feel is the most important step in healing from the trauma of our past?
Forgiveness.
Yes. Wow.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what I agree. Cause that's why I want to do forgiveness coaching. Cause I agree.
It's the foundation. Cause even that after my brain surgery, I really, that was my main focus, was to work on forgiving the people in my life that had hurt me. And that was my number one goal, because prior to that, I was still so angry, and I thought I had forgiven, and then I'd be angry the next day. And then I was so up and down. Cause as Oprah once said, there are people in your life that you will have to forgive over and over and over and over again. Why? Because usually they're family members or a mother or father of your children. Right. So after brain surgery, I made it my mission. I was like, I have to let this go. This is killing me. It wasn't killing them. It was killing me. The unforgiveness was killing me, not them. They had moved on with their life. And, deep down inside, I'm sure they have their own demons to deal with because of what they've done to others. But it was my mission. Forgiveness is the foundation. if you are out there serving, whether you're a nurse or a motivational speaker or a social worker or a lawyer, you know, whatever it is that you do, a janitor, and you're working with people and you've got all this unforgiveness and anger and all types of just toxic emotions going on inside, you are harming yourself. And you're not doing it from a genuine, authentic place. So just stop serving and go work on that, because it will kill you. It will end up killing you emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. It will kill you. So that is the foundation. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. So like I said, I'm in the process of starting my business, and I actually have been helping people, like literally, like as I walk past them. So I talk about, like in the break room, I was talking to this one nurse and we were talking about that. And, you know, it's like a journey. I mean, especially if the person's in your life still. So I told her, I was like, you have to let things go. Well, how can I when this and that? And all I want to do is fight her. She was hilarious. She was a nurse, but she wanted to beat this lady up. It's her mother-in-law. And she was like, her mother-in-law hurt her mother though. And she's like, I'm trying to protect my mother. And I said, what? Think about this. How do your kids feel when you're doing this? Because you're hurting somebody they love. And I said, how do you think they feel? I said, be protective of your kids too. And she goes, oh, wow, you're so mature. And I said, no, I'm not so mature, but you have to really, and again, it is a process. I'm still, you know,
it is a process.
It is. I'm not exactly where, like my one son's father, I am not where I want to be on forgiving him. I've gotten a lot better, but I still need to work on it. And so, you know, and I had to forgive my brother because I was so angry and so upset for leaving the world and leaving his daughter and leaving, you know, but I'm okay. Like I feel like he's in a better place. He has peace now wherever he is. And so, you know, all of us here, we have to find that peace with it too, because you're right. It will kill you on the inside. So, and even this lady in the grocery store, I don't know what her uncle did to her, and I hope that she's okay. But I could see the fear and stuff in her eyes. And they were talking about how her uncle was in the store. And I said something, and I said, you got to let it go. And she said, well, can I? And the guy literally walked by, like literally. And he said hi to her, and she was like, hi. And you could see how scared she was. And I said, forgiveness is for you. It is not for him. It does not condone whatever happened, what he did, what he said, whatever. It's not okay. It's not saying you accept it. What you're saying is that you will not let it control your feelings anymore. You got to let that go. That's controlling. They are controlling your feelings. When you are so upset about something that it changes your mood, your actions, your everything, you're letting them control you. Right. So, and I'm guilty of it.
Happening. Yeah. That is exactly
so you're right. It's like you've got to be able to get past that for your sake, to be able to move on, to be happy, to be successful, to live a fulfilling life. And like you said, serve others. You're absolutely right. Because if you're walking around hating on everybody on the inside, but you're acting like, oh, I'm going to help everybody. I mean, that's not authentic. That's
exactly. Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes. But, it's not good, and it'll catch up to you.
Oh,
it'll catch up to you. And people smell you know, they smell it. They can, not everybody, but people will like, okay, you know, is this person
something's off?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Right.
You're
so
absolutely
you gotta
right.
make it your mission and be patient with yourself along the process. Yeah.
Oh, you're so awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
So, speaking of you being humble and with humility, so how does it make you feel when you see the ladies transform and when they start to really like see how beautiful they are and how worthy they are? How does that make you feel?
Oh, it's the most rewarding part. It's, you know, when, even if it's one little step at a time, even if it's, you know, a woman who has never worked out. And although I'm working with her, you know, to build her speaking or coaching business, it's her calling me and saying, oh, you know, I've been working for 20 minutes all week, working out for 20 minutes this week. I got up this morning and I worked out for 15 minutes, and oh, what a feeling. And
Aww.
so it's like the littlest things that just, you know, I said, I walked away from the relationship, or I didn't take his call and I've been ignoring the calls, and I'm sticking with my word, or whatever it is. that little bit of a transformation, that little shift, that little change, it just lights up my soul. Like to see women come into who they were created to be, step by step, little by little. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. Like, it's the best feeling. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so
Yes.
excited. So I can imagine that it would be. And again, I'm so grateful that you're using your past experiences to help others, because wow, just like the hundreds of thousands of people that you helped, even being in the audience, imagine if you didn't tell your story. Imagine if you didn't write the book, and if you didn't do all the things that you're doing now. Like, who knows how their life would have been, or if they would have stayed in that situation or whatever. And so you are so important. And I'm so excited that I get to talk to you. I really feel your energy. You have wonderful energy, and you're just a beautiful soul.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. No, I mean it. I really mean it. And so I feel really connected to you, because I also want to do the things that you're doing. So it's really cool to see it in the future. Like, I'm not exactly going to be like you, of course, but just see yeah, go ahead.
Well, maybe we'll have to, host a workshop in Atlanta.
Absolutely. That's what I've been wanting to work on.
And that's my mission, is to have a fireside kind of, little workshop. So we have to talk about this. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yes. And somebody else has told me that too, that they're going to be here in a few months. And yeah, I definitely 100% want to. And that would be great. Well, thank you. So, okay. Yes. If you could go back in the past and speak to the little girl that was you back then, what would you tell her?
I promise it's going to be okay. You're going to get through this, and watch and see what's going to happen. This is all a part of your purpose. It'll all make sense. It will all make sense. Yeah. Yeah. Don't be so hard on yourself. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that makes me think, because I never thought about what I would say. So I was like, yeah, because it's hard, it's wow. It just kind of puts you in reality of like, look how far you've come. Oh my gosh, look how far you have come. This is like so amazing to hear all the things that you have been through. And this is probably not all of it. This is probably just like a quarter of it. But and to talk about those things, and to be able to, and definitely you had to forgive, or you cannot speak about them with the, not joy, but like the peace that you have, like, just like, it's just like, you're just talking. And so, and wow, all I can say is wow. So what advice do you have for any women that are in abusive relationships, like right now they're dealing with it?
One, find a community, a group of women, a program, a space, a place where you can go, meet, sit with, speak to like-minded women who have either survived what you're currently going through, they're going through what you're currently going through, and then, there's 3 different types of women in that space, and then the women who have come out of what you're going through. Because that way you'll be able to connect to each. Okay, this one is going through what I'm going through. So we can share and talk, and I can hear her. And sometimes sitting back and listening to someone tell their story, a story that you're currently living, it makes you go, oh my God, yeah, I'm tolerating that? Because you want to sit there and go, girl, you need to walk away from that. Girl, are you But then you're like, hold up a sec, I'm going through the same thing, right? Right. So it does something, right? It does something. And then, and then the woman in the room who is coming out. So she's kind of 2-3 steps ahead of you, so she's no longer in the relationship, but she's still struggling with, missing that person or wanting to go back, and then there's the person who is completely out, and then they're able to speak to me and the woman who's kind of going through it. There's magic that happens in a setting like that. It's extremely therapeutic. It's so inspiring. It's so supportive. It's like, okay, one, I'm not alone. this is where I'm at, and that's where I could be. That woman right there, I want to be where she's at, which is what happened to me. So find a group, and there's so many. There are so many, whatever city you live in, wherever you are, they're all over the place. Find a women's organization that hosts these women's meetings, these programs, these groups, and even go to meetup.com. There's so many, groups on there. Meetup.com is worldwide. Just type in your postal code and you'll find, programs and things happening around you. And that's also where you're going to be able to share your story. And speaking and sharing your story out loud, not just in your head, and I'm not talking about to your girlfriend, because she's gonna support you anyway. If you want to go, stab his tires, she's gonna be a girl. I'm coming with you. Let's go stab his tires. If you want to stay in the relationship, she's gonna love you anyway. She's gonna tell you not to, but she's gonna love you anyway. So it's a different kind of love when it's friends and family. I'm talking about getting yourself into an environment, into a setting where everyone there is a stranger. So, you don't know any of these ladies, but you're there for one reason and one purpose, and that is to heal and to live. So you're going to be able to share your story in that setting, and it's extremely therapeutic when you're sharing your story, not from a place of victim so much, which is what we do with our friends and family. It's more of a place, this is my story. I need help, and that's why I'm here. And it just sets the tone. And that's exactly how I started and what happened to me. So 1, the power of community, and 2, the power of storytelling.
Yeah. Wow. Yes, absolutely. Woohoo. Hi, you're so awesome. So, okay. Now, where can we find you? So your book has been out. How do we buy your book? How do we book you for speaking engagements, or people can be part of your program? Where can we find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is elizabethcorreia.com. And then if you want the Kindle version of the book, you can go to Amazon and get that there. If you want the hard copy mailed out to you, you can actually go to my website, elizabethcorreia.com, go to book, and then you'll see the information, whether you're in the US or Canada, I'll have it shipped out to you. As I said, Instagram and my Facebook got hacked. I'm working on getting it back. However, I think I've lost the accounts. It's okay. It's a hard pill to swallow, but I had to really accept that this week. So my backup account is Miss MS Elizabeth Correia on Instagram, TikTok, Elizabeth Correia, LinkedIn, Elizabeth Correia. And I do have a Facebook women's group called the Self-Empowered Community. Self-Empowered Community, that's on Facebook group. So yeah, most platforms, YouTube, Elizabeth Correia. So most platforms, it's just under my name. And then I will share one link with you that hosts all the other links. It's just so much easier that way. So it's one link, kind of like Linktree, but it's Social Tap, and it just hosts the other links where, my online courses or digital products and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Go buy her book. I'm about to buy your book too.
I'm actually going to send you the free link for the forgiveness course. I'm going to send you a free link for yourself. And because I think it's something that you should also do, create something similar to this. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to it. I love it. Going through those courses are really eye-opening. And when you see stuff written down, you're like, what? Like you said, you're like, when you hear somebody else telling it, and then you're like, how can you tolerate that? And you're going through the same thing. You're like, oh, wait a minute. Oh my gosh. I'm tolerating that. Yeah. So it's the same thing when it's written down. Yeah. When you look at it, you're like, I went through that, or that's me. I overcame that. And that's the whole thing. You all can overcome whatever you're going through right now. You don't have to stay in the darkness. You get out of the darkness. There is light at the end of the tunnel. You can get past it. You can get through it. You're going to be okay. That's both of our messages, I believe. So that's the thing. But I thank you so much for coming and speaking to us. And thank you so much for all the amazing advice and words of wisdom, and just sharing your beautiful, oh my gosh, triumphant, strong, resilient, story. Like the Woman King should be about you. No, no, you're really like,
I'm going to write my own Woman King.
That's right. Yes.
Yes.
But yeah, so I'm so thankful. So thank you so much again, Elizabeth. You are awesome. And I can't wait to talk to you again, because I know you and I are going to keep in touch and talk. Yes. And I hope we can work together, and maybe one day I can come to Canada. I've never been there, so that would be exciting.
You don't want to come here. I'm trying to get out of here, girl.
Yeah, well, come to Atlanta and live here. There's so much. There's so many opportunities, literally, in Atlanta area.
I was there the other day. It blew my mind. Like the women's empowerment, and how where it's going there, what's happening there, how much more of it is needed. It's oh my gosh. Like I met some incredible women, and they were all like, you need to come back and do an event and do a workshop. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. So I'm actually in the middle of planning it for January.
Yay.
Yes.
Woo-hoo.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yes.
And there's a lot, our homeless population here is like,
I know.
It is extreme.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, everything, prostitution, everything. It's.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but there's a lot of amazing, a lot of uplifting, good stuff too. There's a lot of great programs here for women, and there's like men and women's shelters as well, which I like. But see, where like in Maryland, we were only a women's shelter, except for if it got below 32 degrees, and then we could accept men, but it was only women's shelter. So lots of places that I heard of are a lot of like women's kids, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so here there's a lot of even just men, or men and women and stuff, which is, cool. And so I'm sure it's like that in the Baltimore area, but I was like by Fort Meade, and it was only women. But anyways, so, all right. Well, thank you so much. And we will keep in touch, and I just really appreciate you, and you have a wonderful day.